St. Kitts Music Festival and the renewed energy and innovation that contributes to the enduring legacy of the event. Joining us is the Honorable Marsha Henderson, Minister of Tourism, who also has responsibility for the St. Kitts Music Festival. Tivanna Wharton, Permanent Secretary within the Ministry of Tourism, is also here. Stay with us for InFocus, your government, your business.
It was created to create economic benefit for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis during a time what is traditionally known as the off-season. And so during the month of June every year, we have the St. Kitts Music Festival where we're able to showcase all the destination has to offer. I like to say that it is a destination with a festival and not a festival in a destination. And so one of the things that we are really proud about is the inclusion of the vendors as well. It shows to who we are as a people. And so as persons, when they come to the festival, not only are they experiencing the wonderful artists and various genres of music, but they get a taste of who we are.
To welcome our guests, the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Marsha Henderson, and also Tivanna Wharton, her Permanent Secretary. Ladies, it's so wonderful to have you back.
It's always good to be here.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so we're going to talk about the St. Kitts Music Festival. It's scheduled for June 26th to 28th this year, and it's an exciting lineup, as I mentioned earlier. But let's talk a bit about, Minister, the fact that there was a media engagement that was held earlier this year, and it was described as a bold expression of vision, culture, and ambition. Can you expound on this, bearing in mind the key words that were used, which is vision, culture, and ambition?
Okay. And those three words, Ian, for me, speaks clearly of our agenda in tourism and the foundation on which the music festival stands. So 25 years ago, how many years?
I think it was 26. It started
26. We missed 2 years, I think, during COVID, but almost 3 centuries ago, we realized that we had a shoulder period, and we had a visionary leader at the time in the Minister of Dwyer Astafan, and he realized that during the shoulder period we needed to be working on the product to make sure that we can bring visitors to the destination at that time. And so out of his vision then came the St. Kitts Music Festival during the slow, what we would call the slow period. Interestingly, June isn't slow anymore, and so we've accomplished what we really wanted. And so the music festival is visionary. We've continued to build on it, and in doing so, we are always conscious of showcasing our culture. So we give our local acts. This year we have the string band out of Nevis. We have our local artisans on display. We have our food vendors in the food court. And so we are not just mindful to have our international acts on the stage, but we want to make sure that during the St. Kitts Music Festival, our culture is on display for the world. That is the crux of the St. Kitts Music Festival. Bring people to the destination to learn of the destination, to experience the destination. And the other one was ambition. Dare I say we've been very ambitious this year in terms of the acts, the lineup. A lot of chatter out there about how much money we spent and all of that. But we've managed to keep the formula in terms of having relevant acts, relevant to the time, and even if it's not something that's trending, someone who can, an act that can come and give our audience a solid performance. And so I think we've continued over the years to apply the formula, and those 3 words sum up the task we have when we sit down in the ministry to determine who, what, and how we should execute the St. Kitts Music Festival.
Right. And Ms. Wharton, maybe you can give us a bit of a behind-the-scenes look in terms of, as the minister just mentioned, sitting down in the ministry. Like, what really is at the top of the chart when selecting what takes place at the St. Kitts Music Festival for whatever year it's going to be staged?
All right. And so we do have a committee that leads the St. Kitts Music Festival and the planning of the St. Kitts Music Festival, led by Chairman Alistair Williams, who is very experienced. He's been there for the entirety of the music festival's history. And so we sit down. The strategic objective, as the minister outlined, is to bring some sort of activity to stimulate our local economy during the shoulder period. And so we have to determine in our minds who will bring some interest.
Right.
Who will patrons from Europe, North America travel to the destination to see? Who is trending right now? Those are some of the questions that we ask, because ultimately our objective is to bring people to the destination, put the heads in the beds, and for our taxi operators and all of the other small businesses who benefit from the activity during music festival to have that season where they could, really make some money.
Now, you may have answered the question already, but I have to ask about the staying power. Because, of course, we would have seen many festivals launched throughout the region and some throughout the world as well. So that no longer exists. I think COVID-19 really was a filter in terms of where persons, are they serious? Is this really something that they can engage in? Of course, in St. Kitts and Nevis, the enduring legacy of the festival ensure that even the COVID-19 pandemic was not one that would derail the success of the festival. So perhaps you can talk to us a bit about the enduring legacy and the formula that really works there.
Right. I'm told, and I'm inclined to believe, the formula has to do with the mixture of genres. And so we feature something for everyone. And for example, the St. Lucia Jazz Festival, it's just jazz. The Dominica Creole Festival is just Creole. And we're not knocking the festivals, but we feature every night of the festival a different genre. And we've gone as far as to mix in genres during the night. So, Thursday was just soca, but over the years you've seen soca and dancehall. For example, this year we're having dancehall artists on Thursday. So I think the formula in terms of using the different genres, we appeal to everyone. And so I think, and that's usually the consensus, that it is the mixing of genres in one festival. So we cater to everyone. There's something for everybody.
Now, Minister, you took over ministerial responsibility for the St. Kitts Music Festival in 2022. Although the election was in August, so you were not there to be able to host that one that year in terms of your responsibilities. But of course, there was 2023, 2024, 2025. So this is your third music festival that's taking place under your purview. Can you talk to us about any of the innovations that were introduced that helps to enrich the music festival experience?
Right, so the first one is the 420 space. That's something we worked hard on in terms of putting the legislative framework in place. We had to go to Parliament to make sure that what we wanted to do was legal. And more so, the music festival fits in with the agenda of the government, because it was more than a music festival. We were looking at the rights of Rastafarians and people's constitutional right as declared by the court, and we thought maybe we could include this in the music festival experience as well by creating a 420 space. And it has worked well last year. We had it the first time in 2023. In 2024, it was packed to capacity. People actually sat there and looked at the show. You have a bird's eye view from where the music festival is, the lounge, the 420 lounge is set up. And we think it's been working well, and we are going to continue featuring that this year as well. We've also included the local food court, which is a big hit. And I don't even want to take the credit for it, but it's my team. And I want to big up Loftus Bridgewater, who said, Minister, I want to recommend a food court, and that we create an actual experience within the music festival. And we're like, okay, Loftus, we're going to run with it. But it was a hit.
And of course, he's responsible for logistics.
He's responsible for logistics. So right now he's at the park working hard with his teams. I want to big up all the teams who continue to put in the effort and put in the work, the volunteers. But the food court has worked well. It is an experience within the music festival. So we have two separate experiences. Some people actually sit within the food court and enjoy the festival from there. They don't actually go in on the main stage, in front of the main stage. So it's been the 420, and the food court. For me, those are the two biggest introductions since I've taken the helm of the music festival, and I'm happy to say that those two features have actually improved the experience of the festival.
And just to add, outside of the experience, Minister, of course, we launched extremely early.
Yes.
And for the first time ever, ticket sales, tickets went on sale immediately.
Yes.
So this was the first time ever we've sold tickets starting December 28th from the previous year of the music festival. And I think that has truly helped with the early sales that we've gathered so far. The interest has been there. We were able to capitalize on marketing efforts because the buzz was already there. We created that buzz, and so I think that's one of the innovations as well for the festival since the minister has taken the helm. And we have made it a point. We've already done it in 2024 to in terms of launching early and having ticket sales, and we intend to do so again even earlier this time because we understand the benefits from this festival. We understand the benefits of early launch and early ticket sales.
I'm going to come back to the ticket sales in just a moment later in our discussion, because I think it's important to have that discussion as well too. But I'm going to talk about another quote now, and it says that the SKNIS Music Festival is a beacon of possibility. Of course, that was held, as you mentioned, the early launch. I think that was when the final wave of artists were released in February of this year. It's a beacon of possibility and hope. What success stories can be shared with the public in terms of adequately reflecting the fact that it's described as a beacon of possibility and opportunity?
There are so many success stories that we could refer to. As a matter of fact, this morning we had a radio interview, and Loftus said jokingly that one of the vendors who was strongly opposed to the food court said, "Boy, I have to bust your face because I never make so much money in all my life after that." And so this beacon of hope in our minds resonates with the small businesses that all benefit from the hosting of the music festival. It is an opportunity for them to leverage their services and be able to contribute to the local economy. When you think about just not only the hotels, which are the big stakeholders, when you think about the makeup artists, the small clothing stores, the Ubers, all of these people who provide these services that are beneficial to the music festival and its patrons, that is what it truly represents when we say it's a beacon of hope.
And Minister, we would have seen the expansion of including local vendors in not just in terms of the festival itself, but some of the VIP experiences themselves. They also would have invited vendors to come in and to showcase their products, their items to persons who are patronizing them.
Absolutely. Like Old Road Rum had a little private space in one of the VIPs, and even the local food vendors. So it truly is a beacon of hope for our people.
Okay, so you already touched a bit in terms of the artists and what goes into determining who should come at a particular time. So I'm going to skip that question, but instead of asking you about the mix, the dynamic mix this year, it certainly has created a lot of buzz across the region and across the world.
Right. I'm happy to say we got it right again this year. The mixture, we got a good blend of soca. When we were announcing, and each time Sugar Bowl said, he announced who is coming, I think people were energized and happy with the selection. So we got a good blend of soca, dancehall. We were looking for On the Saturday night, we got Jennifer Hudson. We got some, feedback that we should have added a rap artist or is rap or rap or whatever.
We did have rap last year too, so we intended to, but
we our constraints with budgets. We don't have a bottomless pits of money.
Let me stop you, Minister. Just so for a producer that there is a video for persons who are watching there. We do have some of the artists, the full lineup there, so they can run it while you speak, so persons can get a sense, right? Yeah. So go ahead.
Honeybees, yes, and so we even got some. And Nicholas Branco, people were asking for them to come back because they didn't get to perform fully, and their time was cut. We have a number of local artists as well who would grace the stage, and I'm sure they're not going to disappoint. People are just excited as well for our local artists. And then we have
lots of Dominica, we have Bouillon, we have the soca artists from Trinidad. Some of the top hits this year are all going to be performing on the St. Kitts Music Festival. And of course, on the dance hall side of things, we have Chronic Law, Da Vinci, and of course the world boss himself, Vibes Cartel, along with, and Spice. I just remembered Spice. And for those persons who are more into reggae, we have Barrington Levy, the more mature folks.
Right.
And of course, we still have Christopher Martin, Romain Virgo. We have Afrobeats.
Right.
So it's a great blend of different genres.
Right. Okay. And in terms of Honeybees String Band, of course, as we spoke about, the St. Kitts Music Festival is also an important avenue to promote our culture. And also I have to mention the St. Kitts Steel Orchestra. They've been added specifically to the lineup. They're going to be performing on the main stage. Tell us a bit about the inclusion of those acts.
Right. We thought, like we say, we use the stage to promote our local artists. We use the stage and the festival to promote our culture. And I was at a show, even after we announced them, I saw a number of persons who had activities using for the Dame, the Governor General had the Honeybees at the night of musical excellence. And they were awesome. Really, really good. And what better place to promote, our culture, our identity, our music than the St. Kitts Music Festival.
And it adds nostalgia as well to the festival, because we think like the string bands are just the old time from the olden days and all of that. And it's an opportunity for our young people to also connect with our history and understand from where we came. So.
Now, I have to mention as well to that Ambassador DJ Terror, he's featured as an act. He's on the poster featured as an act that's going to be performing on the main stage as well too. Why the inclusion of the DJ specifically as an act, and also how will that impact the performance of other DJs, especially like during the changeover?
Well, it really wouldn't impact them so much. We have a main stage and we have a second stage, which there are about 2 to 3 DJs nightly on the second stage, which is just as vibrant. However, as the festival continues to evolve and we continue to bring innovative ways to keep our patrons interested, we believe with the wave that DJ Terror has made internationally. And as a matter of fact, DJ Terror was one of those artists that got his recognition from the DJ competition that was hosted in years gone by the St. Kitts Music Festival. And we believe that DJ Terror has made his mark internationally and globally. And as we continue to evolve and bring innovation to the stage, we thought it would be a nice inclusion this time. And we'll see how it works. And if it works for us, then you never know.
And I'm sure it will work.
Yes.
And you look at venues when they have these international events, the DJ is always featured. They speak about clubs. The DJs are the one that keeps the party going.
Right. And keep the energy and the vibe.
Right, okay. I'm going to ask the producer to bring back up the video, not the video, sorry, the graphic with the artist lineup. And that's because I want to put you ladies on the spot and by asking, who are you most excited to see? Who are you most excited to see? If you put up the graphic with the artist.
I know you go first,
well, for me, I love soca, bad. And so I'm truly looking forward to Kes the Band I never get tired of Kiss. And of course, Akayu Sweets. And have to make sure I'm conscious of my behavior, because you know how it is when Akai say do this and do that. So I have to be conscious of it. And I am also really looking forward to DJ Terra as well. I know everybody's expecting me to say the world boss. I am looking forward to see him too, but I think Kes tops the list for me and DJ Terra. So.
Okay, so I've been following Colin Wyatt. I'm a huge fan, and I see he's been doing a lot recently, and I'm excited to see him as well. I know most of his songs word for word.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to maybe performing with him and all if he allows me to come. So I'm looking forward to him, and he wants the vibes, you know, because everybody's looking forward to vibes. So vibes, of course. I think I know, I'm a dancehall fan. PS is soca, I'm dancehall. Ratchet dancehall too. So no shame in my game. So I think I know, grew up on both him and Movado. I was more a Movado fan than I was a Vybz Kartel fan. You know, they had Gully and Gaza. I was Gully. But I still know all of his songs. Interestingly, a lot of his songs are social commentary. He's very, very intelligent. Before the misfortune with him going to prison, if you listen to his songs, a lot of them are social commentary on politics too, and how politicians, how people perceive politicians. He was actually a student at the University of the West Indies, so he is, his lyrics are always on point, solid. So it's not just the gangs. Some people perceive him to be a gangster artist, but he's a solid artist lyrically as well, similar to like some of our locals like Colin. And I'm also looking forward to seeing De Jour.
Yes.
When you're in a club and you hear, I don't go club, but if you're on a bus and you're in a car and you hear some De Jour, you know, it resonates. And so I'm looking forward to Colin Wyatt, De Jour, and Vybz Kartel, and everybody else, of course. It's
hard to choose.
Yes.
You've put us on the spot. It's really hard to choose the top one.
Well, I did apologize for that.
Yes.
Okay, so Minister, of course, as we mentioned, the exciting roster, we'll have to talk next about the ticket structure. That's where we can talk about it and how sales have been going. But before we get to that, we'll take our first break.
Okay.
Stay with us. We'll be right back with more In Focus.
If you haven't done it as yet, please do it today. Subscribe to our YouTube page at SKNIS Media for regular updates, live coverage, and even more information on your government. While you're at it, like, share, and interact with our Facebook and Instagram pages at SKNIS Media and SKNIS Info.
Welcome back to In Focus. We continue our discussion with the Minister responsible for tourism, the Honorable Marsha Henderson, and Permanent Secretary Tivanna Wharton, also in the Ministry of Tourism, and we're talking the St. Kitts Music Festival and the exciting lineup that's taking place this year from June 26 to 28, 2025. Okay, Minister, as we discussed earlier, we spoke a bit about the ticket prices. Now, the full roster, as you mentioned, it was released early. You mentioned that the first wave, I think it was in December 2024, and then the final wave was in February 2025. And the second part, I have to go back to the press conference, it was described as gravy. Basically, the bonus in terms of, it was already such a stacked lineup that everyone was impressed with the first wave, and so anything that you got after that was bonus. So talk to us a bit about the impact that the artist roster and the excitement surrounding the St. Kitts Music Festival has had in terms of marketing efforts, in terms of the press coverage, and also, as you hinted at earlier, ticket sales.
Right, so the early start, I believe, really gave us the opportunity to leverage marketing, and because of the quality of artists, certainly there's a lot of discussion around Vybz Kartel. He's performing worldwide right now, and some of the other artists that we launched early on, and so the press was able to pick up our stories and carry the message of the St. Kitts Music Festival from since December, and so that was a really good opportunity for us. In terms of the ticket sales, we are expecting record-breaking numbers this year. one of the slowest nights, I can say that the ticket sales have far surpassed what we have seen in previous years, and especially since it's not even the week of the festival as yet. We're looking forward to, as I said, record numbers this year, and it is a warning for persons who haven't gotten their tickets. I think we said it at the press conference that it may very well be a sold out show, because we still have to be mindful of safety at the venue and the number of persons that are at the venue. So in terms of the cost of the tickets, though, that's what you asked, right?
Well, I was getting to that.
Okay,
I was getting to that.
Okay.
But in terms of the impact as well,
Yes.
because what we do in tourism is we're not just putting on a stage show just for people's enjoyment. There must be benefits to the industry. And even before, when we had our press conference for the second wave, a lot of hotels were at 90% occupancy. Some people were complaining that they couldn't get flights, and so when we met with our airline partners, we discussed possible additional flights, which we did with American Airlines. We're going to have the additional flights for the week of the music festival.
And Sunrise
And
also.
Sunrise.
Sunrise as well.
Yes.
So the impact, the early announcement has impacted us significantly. The stakeholders of the industry are quite happy. They've expressed their gratitude in terms of making sure that we have a solid lineup and it's out early enough so that persons can book. So we had bookings way in January, way in advance. So we feel that the early announcement outside of marketing has impacted a lot of the as intended, the stakeholders within the industry as well.
And there's also an image I found online that we could probably put on screen as well too, in terms of the marketing efforts that took place in the United States. There's one iconic shot that I was able to find on the internet where you would see it's in New York. You see the St. Kitts Music Festival being displayed in New York. So if you could probably just get that graphic up as well. So that demonstrates the reach. Well, this is something I'm going to come to later.
Yeah, the one on Times Square.
Yeah, there it is in Times
Yes.
Square. The St. Kitts Music Festival probably being displayed there.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about the ticket prices. PSU hinted at it in terms of there's an adjustment in the nightly ticket prices. Last year it was about $135 or 50 US. Now this year the cost of a nightly ticket is $175, and that's easy, of course. Or roughly, we can round it up to $65 US. Why was the price adjustment necessary?
Well, just so we know that the ticket prices were only adjusted maybe about 2 weeks ago. So we've had the same ticket price from last year up until about 2 weeks ago. Certainly, I think we can all appreciate the global increases in terms of the cost of producing an event of this magnitude. And so for it to be sustainable and beneficial to everybody, we have to, and for us to maintain the quality and the standard that we have all grown to love, it was important for us to try and defray the cost and offset some of the expenses by giving a small increase, which I might add still keeps our festival as the cheapest in the region. When you think about other festivals, we are still the cheapest festival around, and I believe we offer way more than the other festivals.
A lot more.
So it was necessary at this time, and honestly, the sales have continued rolling in. So I think people appreciate the quality of acts they're receiving for the small fee that they're paying.
Now, you mentioned the early bird price. It was $135. The original cost of the nightly ticket that it was last year. Did persons take advantage of the early bird price? Because of course in St. Kitts and Nevis, we last minute.
We are last minute shoppers, especially for events, but this time around I was quite pleased. We're totally shocked with the amount of persons that already purchased their tickets. The interest is there, and so we believe the early bird really appealed to our local people.
Now, given the quality of the onstage acts that are scheduled to appear this year, how do you justify keeping the ticket prices as low as they are?
Well, I think for from a government standpoint, the St. Kitts Music Festival is a national asset, which we've all come to appreciate, and I think the government understands that, and I think kudos must be given to the government for us to be able to keep the ticket prices as low as they have been over the years, to be honest. Outside of that, I can guarantee that the prices of the tickets with respect to the acts that we bring on stage will probably exceed $250 per night if it weren't for the government, and so we must truly appreciate and recognize that. So
for us, the bigger picture isn't so much the gate receipts, it's more the economic impact and getting the visitors to the destination, getting those seats filled on those flights and the heads in beds. For us, that is the bigger picture. And so, as the PS has said, we still have to find a way, to keep the music festival affordable, but we still need to find a way. The increase this year, I don't even think it's unreasonable when you look at the fetes that they have locally and what you get for, and I'm not going to call any names of fetes, but any of the fetes, the music festival, you get a lot more than that. But we understand that the mandate is for tourism is to get those seats filled.
Right.
And drive the local economy.
And drive the local economy, of course.
Right. And as you speak about the ticket prices, again, in doing research for this program, I came across a graphic, and we can put the graphic up on the screen, and it was on earlier in terms of the CFG Arena. Let's look at the CFG Arena first, and that would actually be in Maryland in the United States. The CFG Arena, the picture with the crowd from the stage, you can see that arena hosts thousands and thousands of persons in there. And this is the arena that is going to be hosting Vibes Cartel in July 26th at an event called Reggae Fest. So let's move to the next graphic. We can see here the nosebleed section, and if my eyes don't deceive me, it looks like, what's that, 17? 208 and 213. Those are the cheapest tickets you can get. And if you look on the price, and this is by Ticketmaster, which of course is renowned in the United States, you look at the price for one ticket, it starts at $104 in the nosebleed sections. And it goes all the way up to $512. That's US, of course.
Right.
And that's just for one act.
One
that's
act.
Vibes Cartel.
Right.
One act.
That's Vibes Cartel at one. And so that really demonstrates, as we mentioned, how really impressive the ticket prices are still for the St. Kitts Music Festival, because in addition to Vibes Cartel on that night, you have so many acts that are coming up.
Quality acts.
Right.
Quality acts too.
Right.
So it's really good.
Right. Okay. So let's move on now in terms of, you touched on it a bit earlier in terms of the crowd that we're expecting. What type of crowd do we expect?
I want to say bumper to bumper, but I want to find something else. It's like, when sardine in a sardine can? Maybe that's more like it. That paints a truer picture. Everybody's excited. Lots of visitors are coming in. I think about 70% of the ticket sales are people who are coming into the destination. And it's 70% of thousands. All of the VIPs are practically sold out. Our general admission tickets are selling. So we expect to see a bumper-to-bumper crowd, or like in a sardine can. So we're encouraging persons to come out early. The show starts nightly 7 o'clock and gates are open at 5. There's lots to do between 5 and 7.
So based on the ticket sales and the anticipated turnout of the large crowd, is there room for expanding the area where patrons would normally sit and stand and enjoy the festival?
In the future, well, this space for the general admission this year is bigger than in previous years. Our logistics team has done a really good job to give us some more space, but certainly we can agree that perhaps the music festival is outgrowing this space, and so we would in the future think about where we can host a music festival, because if it's this big this year, next year we want it bigger and better.
And that's actually a question I was going to ask Minister as well. So for a new permanent home for the St. Kitts Music Festival, it has to be at the top of the mind.
Yeah, it is, and has been for some time. Of course, we need to make sure we do this properly and look at a number of factors when determining where the home for the St. Kitts Music Festival should be. But when we were discussing the last venue, the technocrats have said that this Warner Stadium, when it was being constructed, was the music festival was considered to be there, contemplated there. So it's just that we've outgrown it, and we need to be going back to the drawing board.
Right, and I recall when it was launched way back when it was called the Warner International Event Center.
Right.
That was the name that was used for it back then. But of course, persons have cricket, yes, we call it cricket in football. That was the event really to have international events. As time goes by, as you mentioned, and flights get cheaper and more flights come into the destination as well. So it's much easier for persons to get here. Then, as you mentioned, it's outgrown the usefulness of the facility. And so definitely consideration has to be given for a new section, a new area where that distro can be stayed. Now, Minister, let's talk a bit about PS. You mentioned that you were on radio this morning in terms of parking. What's in place for patrons?
Okay, in terms of parking, there's dedicated parking for the St. Kitts Music Festival at Port Zante this year on the east and western side. So we're encouraging persons to utilize the designated areas for parking. It's really not far from the venue. However, we do have shuttle service available that will take you from the parking lot to the venue and then back. So, should I get into the traffic flow or?
You can, yes.
So, persons are encouraged, if you're coming from the eastern side of the island, it would be our recommendation that you come down from the Bay Road and turn east if you're parking on the eastern side of Port Zante. Likewise, if you're coming from the western side of the island, you can't turn into, so you'd have to come around and get into the western side. But nonetheless, once you get into the parking lots, then you have the shuttle service that will take you around. Now, some roads will be one way on the days of the festival, including Victoria Road. So once you get to Victoria Road, there's no parking, and all traffic laws surrounding our guidelines surrounding the music festival will be enforced from 6 p.m. nightly. So if you're parked there, you will be towed. So avoid that. So Victoria Road is one way. So once you go up, you can go up, drop off, and continue going. Once you get to the top of Victoria Road, you can take either a left or a right there, because Taylor's Range will now be one way heading east only, meaning heading towards Factory.
Right.
So if you're coming down Wellington Road from the eastern side of the island, you cannot come west on Taylor's Range. You can't turn right onto Taylor's Range, and so people should be mindful of that as well. If you're dropping off persons who will enter on Park Range for the festival, that includes Carambola as well as the Ministry of Tourism box, you can come down Park Range, which is south on Park Range. So Park Range will now be southbound only. You drop off at the point of N8C once you get to N8C, and then there's a little road that you take a left there. You will not be able to go down to the southern side of Park Range. Now once you turn onto that little road and you get to Wellington Road, you have to take a left up, because we want to avoid the bottleneck
down on the bottom
onto Wellington Road. So you take a left up to Wellington Road. If perhaps you want to go back down to Keon Street, you can use the bus terminal, the East Bus Terminal, to do a little roundabout, or you can use the parking lots up at Valuemat, where you're able to turn in and turn around and then come back down on the southbound of Wellington Road. And this again is to just alleviate the bottleneck that we anticipate with the amount of traffic. We're encouraging persons to use the parking lot park there and take a short walk or take the shuttle up. Taxis are encouraged to drop off as well. There will be no parking on Victoria Road. The taxi stand at the end of the festival is conveniently located, but they can also drive up to collect their passengers if they were to call or whatever the case may be.
Right,
So,
okay. And how often will the shuttle be running?
I don't know the intervals, but they will be non-stop. Once they're filled, they go. So we have constant shuttle service.
Right, okay. And of course, Bastia High was used in the past, Minister, for parking, but it's not available. There's construction taking place. It's an active construction site where the new Bastia High School is being reconstructed. And it's important because I think there was a rumor circulating on social media insinuating that rather than a construction activity to begin this school being built, of course the topsoil is being taken off 3 feet down, if I recall correctly, that it was being cleared for St. Kitts Music Festival. And I think this really underscores the importance of listening to official channels.
Right, and you're correct. The grounds have not been cleared at the Bastia High for the St. Kitts Music Festival. We will be having our patrons pack at UDC, as the PSS said. The clearing of grounds and the whatever is happening at Bastia High is associated with the construction of Bastia High. Right now, they are doing the testing, all the feasibility studies and the soil testing, and all of that is happening now. So the space isn't available for the music festival and has nothing to do with the St. Kitts Music Festival.
Right, and as an alumnus, Minister, if I can just, almost a bit of a sideway, as an alumnus of Bastia High School, how does it feel to you to see the school being rebuilt? Of course, we had a feature with the Deputy Prime Minister last week in terms of SKNIS, but it's been a long time in coming, and in just 2 years and 10 months, the school is being delivered.
Yes, and I mean, honestly, it breaks my heart. It broke my heart when I saw the condition of the school. Even if, let's say, and there was reason to abandon the school, because I don't necessarily agree, but the condition in which the school was kept in after that for a number of years, it's just heartwarming to see. I'm hopeful. My son is in first form. He attends the Bastia High too, and I'm hopeful that we would be finished in time for him to at least spend a year there as well.
Okay, Minister, we shift back to the St. Kitts Music Festival now, and of course there is another national event taking place because the Bastia High School is considered by many based on the prestige and what happened in the past as well as a major national event. But of course in St. Kitts and Nevis there's also the ban on single-use plastics and of course the transformation of the country, the federation, into a sustainable island state. We want to talk a bit more about that, but we'll take our final break here. And during the break we'll hear a bit from the Minister responsible for the environment, the Honourable Dr. Joy Clark. We'll be right back with more In Focus.
So the Ministry of Environment is partnering with the St. Kitts Music Festival so that we can party sustainably. As you would know, the Ministry of Environment recently banned single-use plastics, and one of our major initiatives was to ensure all the major events limited single-use plastic. So you'll see everybody has a reusable cup, a thermos, and it's about partying sustainably, enjoying yourself, having the same vibe.
Welcome back to In Focus. We continue our discussion with the Honourable Marsha Henderson, Minister of Tourism, and her Permanent Secretary, Tivanna Wharton. And we're discussing the St. Kitts Music Festival, Minister. Now, as we just heard, persons who are looking and viewing this online would have seen some images and seen the Minister, but of course, this is the first St. Kitts Music Festival that is being held since the official ban on t-shirt plastic bags. Of course, there were initiatives last year, and perhaps you can speak to us about that and the effect of having a no t-shirt plastic bag, the fact that it's being banned here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Of course, styrofoam containers and plastic straws, they are no longer being imported as well, so they can still be distributed up until July 31st,
Right.
but they banned from the importation. Talk to us a bit about this ban and how it has impacted the St. Kitts Music Festival.
Right. For me, it's more than the impact on the St. Kitts Music Festival, but on tourism. And for us, I think we contributed and supported the bill. I supported it wholeheartedly as the Minister of Tourism. We saw it as a win, not just for us as a country, but for us as a destination. If we don't transition, if we don't change and start adopting responsible tourism practices, sustainable practices within the industry, we won't have a destination to sell. And so we've been supportive of the Ministry of Environment. We've supported them on the single ban, what we call Plastic Free July. Every July we had a green summer camp to push awareness within the industry itself. And so for us, we wholeheartedly support this initiative by the Ministry of Environment within the Ministry of Tourism. It helps us to ensure that we have somewhere to live. Well, possibly not us, all three of us might be resting in heaven with our Heavenly Father, or wherever we want to be resting. But we would certainly, you know, the generations to come after us, we have a responsibility to ensure that we leave not just an island for them to live, but a destination for them to sell. And so we support all the initiatives. The PS can tell you about what we've done for the stakeholders and our partners for the music festival. It helps us to push the agenda of the government, push the sustainable tourism agenda as well, once we agree to partner with the Ministry of Environment and all the initiatives we've undertaken for the St. Kitts Music Festival.
Right, and so in anticipation of the single-use plastic ban, and also because we have been working actively towards becoming a sustainable tourism destination. Even last year, we had discussions with our vendors who will be vending at the St. Kitts Music Festival to just prepare their minds and for them to prepare themselves in terms of coming on board, fully on board. This year, I'm happy to say that they are all on board. We worked closely with them. So we expect to see biodegradable containers being utilized at the St. Kitts Music Festival. We'll see a lot more of the creative, reusable drink containers. I don't even want to say cups because they're so creative now. And so we've made it a priority for us to work closely with our stakeholders, and honestly, they understand the mandates.
They do.
They understand the mandates and they want to share in the successes of the destination, and so they're fully supportive of this new initiative.
And certainly it's heartbreaking at times. Last week we had officials from the Ministry of Environment here as they are celebrating June as World Environment Month as well too, and they spoke about the fact that persons illegally dump, and a lot of the times you see when you in guts they mentioned the plastic waste that is there.
That ends up in the ocean. Yeah, ends up all over.
And ends up in our system as well too, because the fishes eat it or whatever. Marine life, and we in turn eat that as well too, and so it ends up in our system. Okay, so Minister, how would you say that the St. Kitts Music Festival and the Ministry of Tourism, you hinted at it earlier, but it's helping the government to realize the sustainable island state agenda? Of course, I think the inclusion agenda is something that you can talk about there.
Right. We just touched on our responsibility, the environmental responsibility to make sure that we the destination stays intact in terms of our responsible practices. But the second limb, there are three limbs for the sustainable tourism agenda, but the second limb is the social inclusion agenda, as you just referred to. For us, the St. Kitts Music Festival fits in nicely with the social inclusion agenda, where the objective is to ensure that the wealth of the industry trickles down to the right people. The communities, our stakeholders, should be the beneficiaries of the wealth of the industry. The St. Kitts Music Festival, as we said earlier, is a beacon of opportunity. I think that was the phrase. And
opportunity and possibilities.
And possibilities.
Right.
And so we ensure that the right persons are positioned to benefit from the festival. And so we see this as a part of our social inclusion agenda. The hairstylists, all the nail techs, makeup artists, the taxi drivers, hoteliers. We just want to ensure that whatever wealth comes from the industry, that it trickles down to our people.
You said there was 3 limbs?
3 limbs. The other one is the economic impacts in terms of the sustainability of the tourism industry. So,
what can you tell us about the economic impact of the festival?
I'm happy to share
yes.
that this year we have engaged a new company, locally owned, that will bring artificial intelligence on stream for us to measure the economic impact of the festival. Over the years, we've done it the traditional way. And this year we hope to have the results even quicker with the incorporation of artificial intelligence.
Traditional way, what did that involve?
Well, it means collecting the data on the ground.
Physically,
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yes.
And so this year we believe that the inclusion of artificial intelligence will help to streamline the process, and we will have the results even sooner. But what we can say is the music festival has stimulated our local economy during this period significantly. We do have the results from last year's economic impact assessment, which we will share. However, the impact on the small businesses is what I think matters the most. These are the same people who will then spend in the local economy. These are the people who take care of the families. And so this is where the wealth trickles down into the community, and it's like, you know, it's a form of community ownership as part of the St. Kitts Music Festival. And so the economic impact there is seen and felt on the ground for the people. And so we're happy for that.
You mentioned earlier in terms of persons coming into country, into St. Kitts and Nevis, for the St. Kitts Music Festival. I believe the figure that you use was 70%. 70%
of the ticket sales.
Right,
yeah.
that you're expecting those persons to come in based on the ticket sales at this point, of course.
Yes.
Now, how would you say, Minister, the recent launch of the electronic travel authorization, of course, at the Bastia International Airport, persons who have been following, because of course the laws had to be amended in Parliament, and the system, the bio-corridor, they call it, was rolled out at RLB. How would you say that will impact this year's festival?
In a number of ways. Firstly, it would improve the flow at the airport on the upstairs for sure. Downstairs where customs is, we will have somewhere, but upstairs the biometric corridor, you just walk through and it collects your data like in any modern airports. Just to note that locals who are exempted, locals, OECS, CARICOM, so even if we have people from the diaspora coming in and they present their credentials, they should be exempted. Some of them may come with their U.S. passports, and in those circumstances, then you're not necessarily exempted. But it expedites the process at the airports, and people like seamless travel. So anything that makes travel seamless, passengers, welcome it. And so that's what the ETA does. It also helps us with the border national security issues and border management. We know in advance who's coming. We have the intel and we have the data, and it's assessed. So it helps with the level of security. I know there's a lot of issue, people surrounding artists and possible, maybe even regular visitors coming to the destination. We are able to manage that a lot better, having the intel before through the electronic system. So it would improve definitely the experience at the airport, the passenger experience at the airports. It will help us with our management of the visitors coming in for the music festival, and not just for border, but it's shared with all the other agencies in national security. So we know who's on the ground. We're able to, track if we need to be tracking people, if people come for the wrong reasons, then our national security team, they have that information as well. So I think it's more positive. Yes, there's a cost attached to it, and that's positive as well for us in terms of revenue generation. When you go to London, we pay. I pay for our ETA when I go to London. I don't pay for it in Canada because we get a visa. The difference is if you have a visa, you pay for the visa. When you don't have a visa, you pay for the approval. So we have visas for the US, so we don't have to get the approval. We don't have for the UK, so we pay for the approval in advance for the UK. Similarly for Canada, because we're issued visas, we don't pay for the approval. So we are just aligning with international aviation practices, and so I think it's a good thing for us. We're actually leading on it in the OECS. So.
And it also fits into the government's digitization strategy, again, where we speak about transforming sustainably, but also transforming St. Kitts and Nevis digitally, so that it becomes a lot easier to do business. We have more seamless interactions with government, with private sector agencies, and just making the whole system more efficient.
Correct, and it's something that must be complied with in the aviation industry, something called Annex 9. For the International Civil Aviation Organization. It's just that a lot of states have not yet rolled it out. So luckily for us, we have been in a position to put the framework in place and have this rolled out. All member states are going to have to comply with Annex 9 and have this mechanism set up for travel internationally. So
I think it's a Nevis continuously doing it.
Yes, I'm super proud of us. Super proud of us.
Okay. And just a bit of a programming note for our viewers and listeners, we will have officials from the Immigration Department next week, and they will be sharing a bit more about the electronic travel authorization, which of course, as I mentioned, is very important as we expect to see the numbers pick up during the summer holidays as persons, they come in and they enjoy themselves. Okay, Minister, let's talk a bit about the future of the festival. Any long-term strategy, or short-term, I should say, that is in mind, and you, of course, touched on one earlier in terms of helping to enhance the experience. I know that in the United States, for instance, they sometimes have fan access or different events where persons can go possibly take pictures with the artists, get autographs. What's in store to help to further enrich the festival?
Well, we will continue to look at the trends as the festival evolves. We will continue to build our experience. For us, we sell a destination. The music festival just happens to be a part of the destination, and so we will continue to sell the destination along with the festival, maybe tagging and twinning even experiences on island. I know we've discussed that as a team. You come to the festival, you buy a ticket, you can get a tour up to Liamega Farm, or but we're selling the destination ultimately. So just to improve the visitor experience on island and at the festival, we're going to continue putting our heads together to see what we come up with.
Okay. And so I'll give you an opportunity to make any final comments. As mentioned, of course, the St. Kitts Music Festival, June 26th to the 28th. But before, Minister, I should mention Praise Fest.
Yes.
Praise Fest is on Sunday.
It is on Sunday.
Hosted, by the Antioch Baptist Church, and that's something that the church really picked up in terms of what was considered the gospel night. Now, it's not a music festival event. It's being marketed under the Music Festival brand, but talk to us a bit about Praise Fest. Are you going to be there?
Absolutely. God spared my life. I intend to be there. I've been there for the past 2 years, and we thank our partners at the Antioch Baptist Church for hosting the event, catering to the persons who are looking forward yearly for the Praise Fest. Who are we having again?
There's a graphic that we have. We can put it up on the screen now.
Yes.
Bridget Blutcher, of course, is
right, and she never disappoints. She never disappoints.
Right.
And the atmosphere there as well, they have it nicely lighted. Last year I was on a balcony. Oh, there we go. I was on a balcony. The Antioch Baptist Church goes all out. They have the grounds. The atmosphere is energetic. When we go, I was sitting with Pastor Connor and some others on a balcony, just viewing the festival. The production was on point. So I'm looking forward to the same standard this year as well. And I see we have a number of artists, including some of our locals. What's her name? Vinel? Yes, from Nevis. Right. So I think we're in for a good show on Sunday.
Okay, final comments?
As we said earlier, this is going to be the biggest and the baddest music festival. Not bad in a bad way, but we're encouraging persons who haven't yet purchased their tickets to purchase their tickets, get to the venue early, adhere to the rules, the regulations, follow the traffic laws, park down at Port Zante, and come and enjoy what we anticipate would be the best yet.
And what I've been saying to the stakeholders, all the volunteers working behind the scene, we are going to be on show. Mm-hmm. So this is for our local audience, this show. And of course, maybe persons in the diaspora, but we have to show up and show out and execute. So I want to encourage patrons as well to be on their best behavior. One single mistake, we drop the ball once and we kill a whole tourism industry. Yeah. And this for us is about tourism. So I want to implore that we go out, we try our best to cooperate with the different persons organizing, whether it's the gates or security, because if we drop the ball once, one sad story at the St. Kitts Music Festival, and that's it for us. So I encourage our people to be on our best behavior, come out, enjoy the show, and do so responsibly.
And do so early. Minister of Tourism, Honorable Marsha Henderson, and Tivanna Wharton, thank you so much for being with us in this edition of InFocus.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
We'd like to thank you, viewers and listeners, for joining us for this edition as well. We trust that you will join us next week at the same place, at the same time, for another edition of InFocus. Your government, your business. I'm Ian Richards.
Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.